In the last 6 months, I've started to take a real interest in challenging myself, and there's a few reasons for this. Back in July of last year, myself, my 2 brothers and a few of my friends took a trip to Wales, and the main purpose of this trip was to climb the tallest mountain in the country, and we'd chosen to take arguably the most difficult route and certainly the most notorious route to the summit, which is Cribgoch Ridge. Now, it was a very hot day, and that route is no walk in the park by anyone's standards. But as we were climbing to the top of the first part of the ridge, I found myself realizing that my level of fitness and my level of mental determination were not at all where I wanted them to be. I started to get that little voice in my head just saying, give up. It'd be silly to push yourself any harder. And there was a point along that route where we discussed whether we were going to continue with the hard part of the route or whether we were going to take an easier path. And honestly, I'm ashamed to say that despite that route being within my capability, if it hadn't been for my friends sort of pushing to carry on with it, I think in that moment I may have elected to take the easier route. And after we finished it and we felt this huge sense of accomplishment at what we'd done, I kind of thought I don't ever want to be in that position again where I chicken out of doing something that I'm perfectly capable of doing. So I decided to work on it. So since then, I've set about challenging myself through exercise. Since I started this in August, I'm pretty happy with the progress. I used to be shattered after just a 2-kilometer run around the block, but in December I was able to do my first half marathon in a fairly respectable time. And we've also taken on another hike since then. That was the Yorkshire Three Peaks Challenge, which is almost 1,600 meters of elevation over 40 kilometers. That was a challenge of endurance, but again, we all finished it despite being absolutely spent afterwards. So a question you might now be asking yourself is, why, Tom? Why would you put yourself through these difficult, uncomfortable situations? And the answer is it's for my mental health. Most people that know me would probably describe me as a fairly outgoing person, and that's not untrue, but I'm also quite an anxious person. In fact, I'm very anxious a lot of the time. But my experience has been that through doing these difficult challenges, my mental health is the best it's ever been. I don't really know how to explain it, but there's a certain calmness that comes through struggle, through doing something difficult that I've quite come to enjoy. And for every challenge that I've managed to overcome, that's sort of added to a base level of confidence, which is great. This is exactly what I've been searching for. However, climbing a mountain or running a half marathon isn't really conducive to working a video project with a time limit whilst also trying to work a job. So I'm going to go for a slightly different kind of challenge to illustrate this point. And it's going to involve this. So I think right now would be a good time to have a clever transition, and we're going to leave the office. Let's go. So this is Adrenaline Alley, which is the biggest skate park in Europe, and fortunately for me, it's only 45 minutes away. The idea, rather than doing anything that's particularly physically taxing, is to do something that I find scary, and different kind of challenge, hopefully the same outcome. For me, the thing that I find scariest is dropping in. A big part of riding a skateboard, particularly when dropping in, is weight distribution. As you can see in this example, if you lean too far towards the back of the board, then this happens. And being as balanced isn't my strong suit, this wasn't an isolated incident. To be honest, I kind of suck at skateboarding, but you gotta start somewhere. Even Tony Hawk falls off sometimes. I've just, for the first time, dropped in again off of like a 3-foot ramp, and even that was kind of scary. What's making me nervous right now is that those are like really little things, and it's still got my heart racing, so I really don't know how I'm going to feel about tackling a ramp that I've never ever managed to drop in off before, even when I was coming here regularly. So yeah, I'm not sure yet, but we'll see what happens. I think first thing I need to do is just focus on the basics and try and get comfortable again. This is the part where the fear set in. We tend to feel fear when we lack confidence. If we're doing something we've done plenty of times before, our brain is happy to rely on muscle memory, like an autopilot. But when something makes us lose confidence, we can begin to overthink. And this is the face of a man who is overthinking. The reality is, I can do this, and I know it. But my fear of falling from this height is holding me back. My only option is to get out of my own head and commit to the task. The purpose of this video isn't to encourage recklessness and ignoring fear altogether. It's meant as a reminder that fear isn't just there to stop us from acting, it's also there to prepare us for action. And knowing this can help us to keep pushing our limitations and broadening our horizons.